Guys, so today I'm talking about something a bit different and not as heavy as before. It is still just as important since it's not it's within the minority of the population of the world. Even though it's very common, it's still within the minority and we still have to fight laws, which is hard. And what I'm talking about is the LGBTQIA plus community. And that community is the lesbian, gay, bisexual, transsexual, asexual, intersex, and the asexual and ally, as well as every single buddy else, like the pansexuals or the demisexuals. It's so many, and it's a challenge because that's where the bullying and abuse comes from, like in the past videos I've done, which I will drop links to. So, for one, let's get started. The LGBT references to those who are not attracted to men. But this is where it gets really fascinating. Like, somebody can be biromantic, but homosexual. So, I'm panromantic, which means I do not mind the gender of the person. But I'm gay, and that means they have to be anatomically female for me to do anything more than just a romance. So that means that I'm homosexual and pan-romantic. So that can also be that the person is biromantic but asexual, or pansexual and aromantic. It's very complicated, and this is where a lot of problems come in because it's not understood. It's like really not understood, and it's really a challenge because there are so many LGBTQIA out there. Like the majority of my friends are, and if they're not in the community, they're allies. And I do know people who aren't. Somebody at one point said to me, trying to insult me, saying, "What, are you gay or something?" So then I look at him and said, "I am, thank you for noticing." And he didn't say a single word since. Now, that's just me sticking up for myself, and it's not as easy for others to do that. And I understand because you'll be either quote unquote more in the closet, which is how you are before you expose your sexuality and gender identity to your parents. So, or your not just your parents, but your best friend, your teacher, guidance counselor, really anybody. And there are either negative reactions and positive reactions. Like, I'll use as an example a negative reaction is in my book, Summer's sister, Akira, got kicked out when she was 12 because she was bisexual, and it still hurts her. But it can be worse, like I said earlier in the past video, if you're transsexual. Again, I validate you guys 100% and I'm here for you. What can happen is people being told, no, you were born a girl, that's who you are. Or no, you were born a man, you have to be a man. Stop acting like a girl. Or stop being so manly. And that's where things are a problem. Because that is not who they are as they are born in the body that they were assigned with. And that's why insurance can cover the reassignment surgeries, which is really good for that because it can be very expensive to actually get the surgeries, like top and bottom surgery. Those are expensive. But if you have the insurance for it or can at least get it at a lower price, I'm so grateful for you guys to have found that. So it's the same when it comes to like being pansexual. People are still hearing, like I said before, Yo, just pick one, just pick a body, and you'll all be happy. It has to be just one or the other. But that's not how you guys roll. You guys don't care what the real body is because you're attracted to all of them. You're attracted to them no matter what anatomy. Like, you can have the male part, the female part, or both, or neither. You don't really mind. So, it's more, now that I can explain the asexual thing, where you don't really want that. Like, you'll want romance. That's where, for example, again, I'm pan romantic, but that doesn't mean I want anything more than a homosexual relationship beyond the romance. So, when it comes to bisexuality, you like male and female parts, but you don't like the inter part of it, where you have both or neither. You might, because it's the best of both worlds, but I'm not 100% sure because that is unique to everybody. With being queer, it's another term of the LGBT. If you don't want to use gay, lesbian, trans, you can say you're queer. And yes, I do support all of you, whoever you are, and validate you on how you're being treated. If it's positive, negative, it can be a mix of those. So, before I really break it down to more than just the sexuality, I just want you guys to know that I'm glad you're watching this, and I want to help have people understand that no, we're not the cause of any problems. As I'm going to go way back in history, I know that the epidemic was being spread from homosexual male to homosexual male. That is not the direct issue. You don't know where it really could have come from. And it's just like we weren't treated very well back then, which is why they're being blamed. And when they started to find that it was not just affecting males but also anatomical females, that's when they realized. But I'm gonna go, if I continue, I'm getting off topic. So I'm gonna get back on topic and start talking about gender identity. So, gender identity is a huge thing. Like, it can be, like, I know somebody, as interesting as it sounds, they identify as a squirrel because they don't identify as male or female or really anything or like human. And that's okay because that is who they are. But in my case, like I said before, I am non binary and use they them pronouns. I've been told before to just identify as both male and female because that's easier for people to call me they them. And I said no, so that's just not me. So they've said, so what are you an it? No, that's an insult. We're not it. We're just a person or who else you want to identify as. I identify as a human, but what the real problem is, which comes to pronouns. There are so many different ones, like she, her, he, him, they, them, these, and then X. There are so many more that I don't even have at the top of my head right now. But when it comes to pronouns, respect is saying the correct pronouns. I have people that I live with that are not respecting my pronouns, and it's hard. I know this happens to a lot of people where they don't have the correct pronouns respected, and that lowers mental health, which again, I am linking this one to. when like it helps to have support and definitely the resources. Like it helps to find a doctor who is LGBTQIA friendly because if you don't, you're going to have a hard time talking to them about the reassignment surgeries or really anything and how to best help you. A lot of people are going to get picked on for this, and I had my ex-father was homophobic and he has said the worst things. I swear on my life. He said the worst things, but I'm not even going to repeat it because it's that horrible. So, it's not just me that goes through that. It's a lot of people. People have been called fairies, um, lesbos, homos. Honestly, I reclaimed the word lesbo, so I don't mind being called that, honestly. It's kind of, to me, a fun word, but being called fairy is no. Just because we're rainbows and unicorns doesn't mean we're fairies. Um, there's a lot of more stereotype beyond that, but I will do a video on stereotype because that one can really hurt people, and it hurts me because there's this whole thing about my heritage that tends to drive me up the wall with stereotype. But again, back to this, it's important to respect and treat the people in the community with respect and no judgment. But again, there's a whole lot of that. There are resources out there. Like, I keep mentioning this one, but I'm going to keep mentioning it until I'm blue in the face 6 feet under. The Trevor Project. They're there to support you. They'll support you through anything. If you're being bullied or need resources, like the best resources besides the Trevor Project can be like I know a place that's called Tapestry. And I don't really know where that place is, but it's a good place. So that they do things that again are touchy topics, but I may get to later. But again, everything needs to be spoken about at some point. And people get bullied for being LGBT. They get, again, abused, mistreated, misgendered, misused on pronouns, get neglected from wanting to use the bathroom that they are identifying with. Like, I sometimes get yelled at for going to the men's bathroom even though I'm anatomically female. It's really hard for the trans community to be able to use the bathroom that they want. So let's say a trans male who is going to transition to being female wants to use the female bathroom. They can be seen as a pervert, which crushes them. They are not. They just want to use the bathroom they identify with. That's okay. And one thing that truly bothers me about all that is the thing with gendered bathrooms. They should not be gendered. I often make a joke that is actually a good point is if I don't identify as male or female and both of them are labeled for either male and female, does that mean I have to wait until I get home, even if I have to go really bad? So it is a good point that I raised for myself. I don't know if it's valid for any of you other guys. English is not helping right now, but that's fine. Um, yeah. So that's what I want is like I don't know how to raise awareness for this, but we need a lot more gender neutral bathrooms. I am with places that have gender neutral and I am the happiest human in the world when I see that. But then when I feel like I have a choice of having to go to an anatomical female bathroom or an anatomical male bathroom, most of the time I choose female because I feel like I'll be judged going into the men's bathroom, but I don't want to go into the female's bathroom. So I don't really feel like I have a choice. And this is where people with gender confusion, or they know their identity but don't want to get harmed from somebody who's going to bully them for it. It's like we need more that are gender neutral because, like, again, they'll be judged for wanting to go into the bathroom that they identify with. Like, again, the guy had small judgment on his face. I knew it. It's just I am kind of bold and will stand up. I know people who are more in the closet or more nervous or a little more, dare I say, passive than I am. They won't want to. They'll just have to follow order to keep things down low and quiet. And it hurts that people won't have to feel like they have to do that. So, any of you who feel like that, I'm sorry. And a lot of the time, it's not going to help when people are against the LGBT. But what I'm going to say is kind of interesting that yes, this is for those who do not support it. If you do not support it, that is okay because that is your perspective. But no matter what you're going to do or say, it is going to continue to exist. Like, if you have kids, your anatomical male or anatomical female may be in the closet, so could your best friend or your spouse could actually be that way and have to be with you because they feel like they can't be who they are or be afraid to tell you that they want to transition. What it also comes to is it could also be your grandparents, it could be coworker, boss. They could all be LGBT and not tell you. So that is something to consider. It doesn't matter who the person loves. It's just the same as you loving an anatomical female. It just happens to be that our brain chemistry is a little different than yours. And that is the best thing. A best friend of mine said that being gay is one of God's greatest gifts. Now, I am not in that religion, but my best friend is. And it meant the world to me that she said that because I know how the general perspective is with that religion. And it hurts, but at least there are people who actually accept it or at least tolerate it. If you can't accept it but tolerate it, I'll take that as the answer. I will accept that you tolerate it. But it's not okay to lash somebody in their face because of their sexuality and gender identity. It's who they are. It's gonna be interesting, but let's say it was opposite day and suddenly being heterosexual was not okay. It would feel pretty strange to you and invalidating and painful, right? Now, 364 days a year. That is how many LGBT feel. Like a lot. And it's one of the worst things to have to deal with, which is in my birth country of Russia. And this is where my whole thing about stereotype comes in. But again, that's a separate video. So, again, people are forced to hide in the shadows and they'll be hazed or attacked and like brutally killed for being LGBT, which is not okay to me. Again, it's all culture and religion sometimes. I'm not blaming anything or anyone. But I feel like there really needs to be at least a little bit of tolerance or acceptance. Because if you tolerate or accept that one person who is in the community, it may change everything for that person. Like, I changed somebody's life like a year ago with the exact phrase that my best friend told me. And it changed everything for them. It's, yeah, it's not easy being LGBT in a community that may not support you. There are places that are incredibly friendly. Like, the best place to go on vacation is Provincetown in Massachusetts. That place is just one big gay hub. That place actually helped me realize that I am indeed not bisexual, but homosexual. One step onto Commercial Street, I was like, yeah, I ain't bi no more. So, if you guys are questioning, you guys have time to figure it out. If you're not sure and it's stressing you out, again, I'm here. You can find my Discord, which I will leave a link to, but I have to find that again. It I'm here for you no matter what you're going through. But I want you to know this gay supports another gay and everything else. And that's what I wanted to tell you guys. So I will see you guys on the next time.